You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello and welcome to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're going to be talking about not settling in life. Have you ever been at that crossroad where you're like, everything is not working, everything is out of place, and you're working hard, but it's not going in the direction you want? That's when you put your hands on the table, you say, I am not settling. I am going to push forward and go after my goals and dreams. You have to have that determination, that hunger, that desire. So today we want to focus on, what is it that you want to achieve? What action steps do we need to put in place to get you there? You're not alone, so feel free to call in at 800-333-0001, and we'll be taking your calls shortly. Also, we're going to have our inspirational guest, Shayla Logan, in our next segment. And her story is one that you don't want to miss because, honestly, we've known Shayla at the Living Full Out show here for several years, and she is a perfect example of continuing to evolve and not give up despite so many things being thrown at her: a mentally ill mother, the death of her father, 22 foster homes growing up, and then now becoming disabled. It's an amazing story and truly touches my heart, and I know it will yours as well. And again, if you want more resources on today's show, go to livingfullout.com, whether it be our blog, or you can go to the radio show tab and hear this show again. We want to make sure that you're supported throughout the week. You can even go to Alexa if you have one, or our app stores on the iPhone or Android, and listen to our show on the go. We just want to make sure that you are supported, you're not alone, and you're living full out each and every day. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we do have a caller on the line, so I'm going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for calling in. How can we help you today?
So I am a very busy and hardworking person between school and my job, and I was wondering how I should balance taking breaks in working and not feeling like I'm doing the wrong thing or feeling guilty about taking breaks.
You know what? You are a girl after my own heart. I love that you're asking this question. And you know why I do? Because right now, all across the country, people are raising their hands saying, I'm with her. You're so relatable in your question. And the thing is when you take a break, do you allow yourself to kind of zone out? Maybe take 30 minutes to watch a TV show, maybe eat something to kind of replenish your energy?
Yeah.
You ever do that? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you do that, and then you say, okay, show's up, all right, clean your dishes, do you find that you're more productive?
I think so, sometimes, yeah.
Okay. Now, right there, let's talk about that. You say, I think so. Why do you say I think so? What makes you not productive?
If I get distracted or on a tirade from whatever I'm watching.
Okay. So that's where it is, right? So you know when to take breaks. You know how to take breaks. So the real challenge is not getting distracted. So what I want you to do is I want you to practice, like take your phone and set a timer. You only get 30 minutes. You only get an hour. And this works for taking naps as well. Set your alarm. And then I want you to make sure that you jump off the couch, jump out of bed, and that you have something to go to. Because when we take a break and we don't have our next mission, our next assignment, our next goal of what we're going to do, then we're not as likely to have a smooth transition because we're not really sure where to start. Have you ever felt that way? Like, I know I need to stop my break, but what am I going to do first? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why I suggest that before you take that break, before you set that alarm, think about what are you going to do after that 30 minutes, after that hour break? What is the next go-to? Because if you don't know what you're going to next, the temptation is to sit there and think about, okay, what do I need to do? Okay, let me make a list. All right. Oh, this is a really good show. Let me finish watching it. Right? So you got to have your plan. And if you do that, I know that you will feel more relaxed on your break because you deserve it. But I also know that you'll feel more intentional after the break with what you need to do next. So like, for example, when's your next busy day coming up?
I have a very busy day next week.
Okay. And so what I want you to do is visualize ahead of time that really busy day. And I want to make sure that you put in between your day maybe 3 30-minute sessions where it's time for you. It might be time for you to work out. It might be time for you just to watch TV. It might be time for you to take a nap. And I want you to put those into your schedule, like have them ready to go. So when you start your day, you're not going to feel gypped because of the really long day. You're going to know that, okay, I got to make it from now to my 30-minute break. And that will give you relief as well. If you just kind of take your day and segment it, have segments of the day where you're going to go ahead and be productive, but know that you have your break. Then when you come out of your 30-minute break, you're going to have another block of time where you have to be intentional, right? On point. And then you know that you'll have another break. So it's all about scheduling. Is that something you can do?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, if you do that, I know that you're going to get the relief that you need. I love that you asked the question, and we'll be thinking of you and bringing you lots of energy. Okay?
All right.
Thank you for calling in.
Thank you so much for the help.
You got it. And I love that she asked that question, right? Because we've all been there. I mean, even today, prepping for this show, I had to really think about what do I need to get done? But you know what? In between the morning, I had to eat. I had to, take a few minutes for myself and relax and enjoy my day. So we're all with her in that journey of scheduling and finding time for ourselves. Now, I'm getting word for our producer that we have another caller on the line. I'm going to say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for calling in. What's going on today?
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, how do I stay positive when I fail?
Well, let me ask you a question. What in your world, what do you feel that you most recently failed at?
Getting cut from the basketball team.
Getting help from the what team?
No, getting cut from the basketball team.
Getting
rejected.
cut from the basketball team.
Yeah.
And why did they cut you? What was their explanation?
They didn't really explain it to me. They just told my little brother to tell me. Okay. And I felt kind of bad because I didn't even know why I got cut.
And you know what? You have every right to feel that way. Every right. So you asked me, how do we stay positive when we fail? And how you stay positive is you get answers. And when we get answers, we're able to bring more power into our life, more control into our life. Because right now, you kind of feel like they took it away from you without telling you why.
Yeah.
So in some ways, it kind of feels like they took your power away. And that's when you sit in kind of this gray zone of feeling disappointed and maybe depressed and feeling as though you failed. So what I would encourage you to do is I would either call them or walk in and meet with somebody in person or send them an email. But I would pick the method of communication that's the most comfortable for you. Not passive, not necessarily passive. So email may or may not be the best if you don't think you're going to get a reply. Be intentional with what you want out of the meeting, out of the email, and just ask them why. You're not even asking to come back to the team, but you just like to know why. And I would further ask them, I would very much respect if you would tell me why, because as I go through life, if there's changes I need to make in my life, I'd like to be able to make them. If I don't know why, I can't make those changes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
And when you then ask the why question, and then hopefully you do get an answer, now you didn't fail. Now what you did is you learned about yourself. You found ways in which you can make changes or grow. And we don't know the why, so we don't know what that change would be. Maybe it's getting lessons. Maybe it's training harder. You know, maybe maybe they'll say, you know what, you were really good at this, but not so good at that in terms of basketball. And maybe there's another sport where those skills that you're so good at can be better utilized. So maybe it's just finding a different sport. Do you see that? A lot of athletes play a lot of different sports, and there's generally one or two that they're better at than most. So I would just encourage you to ask questions. That's how you're going to live full out. But thank you so much for calling in, because it's a really important question that you asked. Okay?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Have a great day. And everybody, when we come back, we're going to be joined by Shayla Logan. Again, her story is one you don't want to miss. It's all about not settling in life so we can live full out. We'll be right back.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a taxi? 233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Don't you wish that getting your child to eat right, move more, and spend less time in front of a screen could be as easy as pushing a button? It might not be that simple, but you do have more power than you know. And you can maximize that power with proven strategies, tips, and tools from the National Institutes of Health's We Can, or Ways to Enhance Children's Activity and Nutrition program. We Can offers all kinds of resources, including fun recipes and activities the family can do together to show you the way to live a healthier lifestyle. We're not saying it's easy. We are saying that it can be done. Take the first step today. Call 1-866-359-3226 for a free We Can Parents Handbook. And be sure to visit the We Can website at wecan.nhlbi.nih.gov for free information too. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
It's not working. I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite. Look out! Look out! And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
And welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about not settling in life, really reaching out and clawing our way sometimes to what we want in life, not allowing the pains and the stresses and the traumas of our past to dictate our future, but really reclaiming our life and sometimes needing to do that over and over again. And I say it like that because our inspirational guest today, Shayla Logan, is no stranger to needing to reclaim her life over and over again. She has done it eloquently, but also with fire and vigor because she knew that there were great aspects of life and she didn't want to settle for the pain and the stresses. And I'm not going to give it all away, but we're going to welcome Shayla Logan to the show. Hello, Shayla.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. Always nice to hear your voice. Honestly, Shayla's like a very good friend of the Living Full Out show. So we always adore having her here. But as I was saying, Shayla, your journey has had a lot of twists and turns, bumps, a lot of bumps in the road.
Yeah.
And I think you've handled them with as much grace and clarity as one could, but yet willing to admit places you maybe could have done things differently. So I want to take our audience back a bit to how you grew up. You know, we're born into this world to parents and we don't get to choose them. And you were born to a mother that was abusive to you and perhaps even mentally ill in her decision-making of how to raise you. What were some of the ways in which she abused you as a child?
Well, actually, believe it or not, I was born to a woman who gave me up, and the woman that abused me adopted me when I was 4.5. One of my very first memories of my life with her was of her hitting me in the head with a brick. We were out in the garden, and she asked me to do something, and apparently I didn't move quickly enough for her satisfaction, and she picked up a brick and hit me in the head with it.
That Shayla is like unmatiable. I mean, we've seen shows on TV. There's an old movie called Mommy Dearest. I don't know if you remember it, but it was pretty much sounds like the way you were raised by your mom. And did you have the insight though, growing up, that she wasn't like other moms?
You know, I think when you grow up in that situation and you start out as a young child in that, I think you don't really know that isn't how everything else exists around you. I think you just kind of assume that that's normal. And so it took a long time for me to pick up on the fact that everyone else wasn't being, hit and burned and waterboarded and, all the other things that she was doing to me.
She seemed to have a lot of expectations for you you never seem to have done things quick enough in her mind.
Yeah.
And I know that there was one epic night when you tried to fight back. Can you share with us about that?
Yeah, I was in the kitchen doing dishes and apparently went over her imposed time limit, and she came in and grabbed me by my hair and slammed my face into the countertop. And I just happened to have a knife in my hand at the time, and I turned around and I put the knife up to her throat, and I said, "One of these days I'm going to kill you." And she actually laughed at me, and then took me to a psychiatrist because I apparently was crazy, according to her. And I still to this day don't remember what I said to the psychiatrist, but apparently I told him about the abuse that was going on in the house because he called social services. And that's one of the ways that they got me out of there.
Well, and even her expectations for you to take care of your dad. And I know the passing of your dad was a sensitive one, not just because he was your dad, but because you felt as though his dying was on your hands. Can you share with us why that was the case?
Yeah, I was 7 years old when my dad got cancer, and my mom, they had already divorced, but my mom brought him to our house and put me in the attic and put him in my room and told me that it was my responsibility to take care of him and to keep him alive. And so when he died, she told me that it was my fault, that I had failed in keeping him alive. And so I spent many, many years thinking that I killed my father, unfortunately.
How does Shayla at 7, 10, 12, how did you have hope for your future? Or did you feel like this was going to be a never-ending life sentence?
I think it felt like a never-ending life sentence. I remember being 10 and in school and going around, and everyone was saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they got to me, and I simply said, alive. And I recently had my 50th birthday, so it felt like quite the accomplishment.
You have lived, and you've lived a long life, but it's been a beautiful life, and in the sense of just who you've turned out to be. I mean, she's now today a love ambassador, which we'll get to later, but despite these, really tear-jerking stories that are hard to hear and even conceive, but you've turned out good, kid. You've made it, made it to 50. Thank you. But as we kind of go into a commercial break here that we're going to have shortly, the day came when the social services was called in, and they did have to inspect you and your mom and your home and the behaviors that were happening. Did you feel like finally somebody heard you? Like that little girl had been recognized?
Actually, no. The social worker came and they started doing weekly visits, and my mother would clean me up and dress me up and sit next to me with her arm around me and pretend that she was this loving parent. And it went on for months. And so I didn't feel necessarily heard, even though there was a social worker that was showing up. But I think in the end, the social worker suspected something was going on because she came for one of her visits and she left. And then she came back about an hour later, and my mom was actively beating me when she showed up. And she said that she forgot her briefcase, and I'll never know whether she actually did or whether there was even a briefcase to forget or if she just kind of had a suspicion. Mm-hmm. But she walked in on the scene and called the police, and I had a police escort out of the home, and they put me back in foster care.
And that is where a new chapter began for Shayla. The abuse of your mom may have been done at that point, but there was, a lot more coming for you. And I know shortly here we're going to go to commercial break, but, I want you to stay with us, Shayla, because what you're talking about right now is so important, because whether that social worker had a briefcase or not, she came back. And sometimes we need to be that person that goes back for another, that recognizes signs. So I'm so grateful that she did. And Shayla, stay with us so we can share more of your story. And everybody, today we're talking about not settling in life. And part of that is really reflecting and inspecting the twists and turns of our life, even the heartbreaking moments, so that we can learn from them, so that we can grow and evolve. And that is the secret ingredient of life. It's not having it all right. No one has a fairy tale life. It's just finding out how we can become better and really go after the life that we want to have, not settling for what other expectations people put on us or what we should be or should be doing. So stay with us. We're going to be coming right back after this break. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. Stay with us.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey, but people in this town call me Maniac. They call me that because I'm the fastest runner in town. But just because everyone knows who I am doesn't mean I belong. I don't really belong anywhere. You see, I'm an orphan, and I wander the streets just looking for a place that I can truly call home. My name is Maniac McGee, and I'm all alone. Explore new worlds. Read my story in the novel Maniac McGee by Jerry Spinelli. For other great book ideas, visit your local library or log on to literacy.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Look for the bare necessities.
The bare necessities of healthy living are easier than you think.
You better believe it.
And the food pyramid shows you the way. With just the right amount of exercise and the necessary grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and meats and beans.
Just the bare necessities of life.
So eat right, be active, and have fun.
Yeah, man.
For your own path to a healthier you, visit mypyramid.gov.
This is really living.
This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about not settling in life and really going after the life that we know we deserve and figuring out how we're going to get that life. Our inspirational guest today, Shayla Logan, had to really assess her life over and over again, growing up with the abuse of her mom and watching her dad die under her care and even growing up under 20 plus foster homes. So she really had to pay attention to what do I need to do to not only survive, but how do I reassess my life? How do I dream big? How do I even accomplish living a life that I can be proud of? And she did that and more. So I'd like to welcome Shayla back to the show.
Hi, Nancy. Great to be back.
Absolutely. Now, I mentioned in the intro here that you grew up in 20 plus foster homes, and obviously in some ways that was an escape from the abuse of your mom, but it came with its own moments of feeling not settled and trying to find that place of quote, quote, home. And I know that eventually around 19, you were just done. You'd fought the good fight, but you wanted to take your life. Can you share with us what got you to that point?
You know, I think prior to that point, I think that it had been kind of building up to that. I think, my first suicide attempt was at 13. And it just kind of continued from there. I started, continually trying to kill myself and doing self-mutilation. And I think I just didn't want to exist in the world that I was living in anymore. And I didn't have a way out. So when I was 19, I took a 6-month supply of a medication that was actually a derivative of something I was allergic to. And ended up having a near-death experience. And I really think that experience is what started to turn my life around. Because when I came back, I felt, during that experience, I felt peace and love and acceptance, and I knew that I wasn't alone in this. And I think gathering that strength from the universe or God or whatever you would like to call that force, I think gave me something to hold on to be able to endure the challenges that came after that.
When you attempted your life, and obviously you're with us today, so the attempt did not work out, which is a good thing. Did you think to yourself, well, there must be more? I must have a place of purpose in this world, or I would have died.
I didn't initially. I didn't have that level of understanding. I think that you can only do so much with what you have, the tools that you have in your toolbox. And I didn't really have a whole lot of tools at that time. I had grown up with nothing but abuse and violence and neglect, and didn't have any, inspirational figures to look up to, or anyone to give me advice or to tell me that there was a different path or that I could have hope for a different life.
And what were some of those tools that took you from the place of despair, depression, to hope?
I would say first and foremost, probably my sense of humor. I've always had a great sense of humor, and I think that being able to not take things so seriously, even when they're pretty serious things that have occurred in my life. I think that I've always been resilient. I've always been able to bounce back. I'm actually in the process of writing my second book, and the title of it is Strong Like Water. And the concept, from Taoism, that water is gentle and yielding, and yet nothing is really stronger. I mean, it can wear away rock. And I think that is kind of the place that I've come from in my life, is that I've just kind of been able to flow with what has happened and been able to keep an outlook on, what could happen next.
Well, and that's perfectly said, because we're talking today, Shayla, about not settling, not giving up. Right. And like that water, you've kind of flowed through life, managing, understanding the cards you were dealt, but yet continuing to step forward into the unknown sometimes, as scary as that is. And, you had reached a point, we had talked, several years ago, where life was good. You finally got to a place where you were married, and you were happy in your career, and you knew that you were living a life of purpose, but sharing your story and giving back to foster kids and all of that. And then recently, life took another turn, and you were in a very serious car accident. And again, she's laughing, and sometimes I have to laugh at my own life too, because in life, sometimes we just think, come on, right? Like, come on, can't I get a break? And so what did happen recently that really just turned your world upside down?
Well, like you said, I was happy. I was speaking and coaching and happily married, and, pretty much, traveling and loving life. And after everything that I had gone through, not just my childhood, but also, enduring homelessness and dealing with a brain tumor and everything else, I had finally gotten to a point where I was living my life and inspiring others to do the same. And then on St. Patrick's Day of 2016, I was riding home. I was riding my motorcycle home from dinner with a friend, and my bike malfunctioned on the highway. And there was a distracted driver behind me in an SUV. The police report says that she looked over her right shoulder. She had a bunch of kids in the car, and I'm assuming that she looked over her shoulder to say something to one of the kids. And when she looked back, there was only about 10 feet of distance between us. She didn't even have a chance to put her brakes on, and she hit me at full highway speeds. And it literally snapped me in half. It broke my pelvis in half and broke my back in 4 places. And then a little bit after that, my spine actually collapsed in 3 of the 4 breaks. So it's been a pretty long journey. I would say, despite my childhood and everything else that I've gone through, I would say that this accident is probably the single biggest challenge I have ever had in my life.
And why did this break your spirit even more than the other times?
You know, I think a part of it is because I think the accident was kind of the old phrase, the straw that breaks the camel's back. It was kind of that last blow of, thing after thing after thing in my life. And I think there was the combination of, the physical. I was in extreme, excruciating pain from the accident, and also being completely dependent on other people around me and not being able to be my usual self-sufficient self and taking care of myself.
Well, and you are very independent, but I know that you've done a lot of personal growth. But with this most recent accident, I mean, it even took you back to the dark place of suicide again, and you considered taking your life.
Yes, I did. More than once. I hadn't been suicidal since my attempt at 19 when I had my near-death experience. And after the accident, I was actually hospitalized on 3 separate occasions for suicidal ideation. It kind of came back into my life again, which was a weird place to be.
Well, and we only have a little bit more time left in the show, but the reason why I wanted to ask you about those thoughts, those deep, dark thoughts, is because, life is going to happen, and we never know what's going to come ahead of us. It can be an accident like yours. It can be a loss of a relative or somebody that we care about, and it can rock our world. And what was the one secret ingredient in your recent days that has got you through? So if our audience is listening today and they need that one takeaway to pull them out of that dark place, what would that be?
I think one of the turning points for me is one of my hospitalizations. I was sitting at lunch and I was eating a pickle, and this guy across the table from me, just out of nowhere, looks at me and points at the pickle and goes, that'll never be a cucumber again. And for some reason, that really hit me and resonated with me in terms of my own life, and realizing that I would never be able to go back to that previous person. I mean, the essence of me was still there, but I had been forever changed by the things that had happened to me. And so now it was up to me to kind of figure out, okay, now what? How do I live my life in this form?
But you know what, Shayla? I like pickles better than cucumbers anyway.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're going to be one or the other. I love that you kind of ended our interview today on that note, because, again, it's really just saying it's kind of is what it is. I mean, we are where we are in life. You're dealing with your current rehabilitation. I'm still dealing with my blindness, and we have others in our community dealing with all sorts of traumas and cancers and health issues and disabilities, and we just have to get through it together. So your story has just kind of put a spotlight on that for us today, and I'm very thankful for that. So, really, we will be sending you positive wishes that you get healthy and happy soon, and everybody, again, she's a great friend of the Living Full Out show in terms of being such a great example of living full out. I mean, you haven't done a lot of interviews till today, so I appreciate you, accepting our invitation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And thank you so much, Shayla, and we'll be wishing you all the best.
Thank you, Nancy.
Okay, thank you. And I love that her story really focused on not settling, right? I mean, even today, she knows that there's a long road ahead to get stronger and healthier. But you know what? If I was a betting woman in Vegas right now, I would put all my money on Shayla. And I would put that same amount of money on you, because I know that you are listening to the show. You want to be motivated. You have dreams and goals that you want to achieve. And I promise you, if you keep listening to the show, if you keep taking action in your life, surround yourself with healthy people that can support you, you will get there. Just know that we believe in you, and we'll be coming right back after this break, taking your calls. We'll be back.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
They're gonna jump out of trees. You can't stop them. They'll go down the slide head first. They'll make parachutes out of sheets. They'll balance on things that are impossible to balance on, like the back of a couch or a windowsill or a scooter seat. They'll run with sharp objects. They'll run into walls. They'll climb things that won't hold their weight. They'll put their fingers in places where they could get smashed. They'll drive their tricycles down steep hills. They'll bounce balls off their faces. They'll step on each other. They'll jump on each other. They'll invent whole new ways to put themselves in jeopardy. But one of the most dangerous things kids will do happens while they're sitting perfectly still. Kids who ride in a car without a booster seat are much more likely to suffer serious or fatal injury during a crash than kids in boosters. But amazingly, 80% of all kids who need them aren't in them. After a toddler seat and until they're 4'9", booster kids, and don't let them down.
Go to boosterseat.gov to learn more about the importance of boosters. A message from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Have you ever lost a cat? And have you ever wanted to get your cat back after you lost it? I'm Andrew Hoffman. I invented the Lost Cat Magnet. Just turn it on and lost cats stick to it. Just listen to one satisfied cat. That's proof. You should invent stuff too. But remember, don't do a Lost Cat Magnet.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the National Inventors Hall of Fame Foundation, and the Ad Council.
We're your pets, and this song's dedicated to those people who don't have health insurance yet. Enroll, we say, we want you to be okay. Enroll, we say,
sake.
Health insurance is now affordable and covers prescriptions, hospitalizations, and preventive care. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn more.
And take care, people.
Brought to you by Get Covered America and the Ad Council.
To live full out in life means that you're not going to settle. You're going to choose to look forward, to embrace hope and what is possible. It doesn't mean that the past just magically disappears, but it means that you manage it, those stresses, the anxieties that you might have, and that you choose to live full out, to get the resources, the support that you need to thrive. It is never too late to say, you know what, I am not settling. My life is worth it. I'm going to go for it.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. Nancy is here as a guide to show you how to rise above obstacles and savor each moment. If you have a question, call in live at 800-333-0001. That's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to the show. I am Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out show, and we have been talking about not settling in life. And those words are not cheap, right? They're not easy to get. How do you not settle when sometimes going after something may seem like a mountain that's super steep? Like, how am I ever going to do that? Or sometimes we settle in life if we feel it's the best we're going to get. You know, I've tried, it hasn't worked out. I'm just going to settle for this. But you always want to listen to the voice in your head that says, you're worth it. And then it gets louder and louder. You're worth it. Do it. Go for it. Try. Don't give up. You know, it's inside your mind saying, keep going. Don't settle. Listen to that voice. It's a really important voice to harness and pay attention to. And then when you take that voice with that fire and vigor and passion in your core, that's when you take action. That's when you don't settle. That's when you leap from where you are today to where you want to be. Now we're going to take a call and see who's on the line. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out show.
Oh, hey.
Thank you for calling in. How can we help you today?
So I've been currently getting over my addictions to competitive gaming, and I've made a lot of progress, but I've kind of been noticing an unhealthy trend in my life that I tend to latch onto different kinds of addictions. Before, I was really addicted to eating and drinking in the past, and I feel like this kind of addiction really damaged the relationship I've had with others. And I just wanted to know, like, how I can stop this seemingly endless cycle of addictions that I've been having over the past few years in my life.
You know what, first of all, I want to give you a lot of credit for asking this question, because it would be so easy to hide it, right? To ignore it, to go to a place of denial. And I'm sure at times in your life you have. But how you live full out and how you reclaim your life is that you admit it. So first of all, bravo to you, okay? Because that's one of the secrets to how you live an abundant life is you take control, you admit things. So what is the most recent addiction that you've been dealing with? The one that's most current?
I guess playing games, like competitive gaming, like like PC gaming. Just like I feel like I used to spend so much time just wasting my day, just playing too much games, and I feel like that's really unhealthy for the people around me and for myself.
And is it just time you're wasting, or have you kind of up the ante and you're spending money as well, and you're losing money too?
It's not really money, but I've noticed that I'm really kind of quick to anger now. Like I get really angry easily, and I do spend a lot of time. But I've been lowering the amount of time I've been playing, but I kind of want to completely stop. And
I want you to consider two things. I'm going to give you two tips today. Okay. Number one is there's a concept called transference. And transference is when you transfer like a negative habit into a healthy habit. And I'm sure you've attempted to do that with all the various addictions you've had, but it sounds like in a lot of ways you've replaced a negative addiction with another negative addiction with another one, right? So I want you to think about, with this gaming, it's more of a time thing, not a money thing. So I want you to, quote, quote, transference. I want you to transfer that into a positive habit. So I want you to think of a hobby that you want to take on. Let's say it's learning guitar. Let's say it's cooking. Let's say it's working out. I want you to replace the time around gaming with the time commitment to learn and do something positive. And it has to be a time thing. Can't be a money thing, because it's the time that's being sucked away from your gaming. Think of a positive habit that can take the same amount of time that you currently are doing gaming and replace it. And the other thing I want you to think about is the concept of letting go. Because I'm sure with all that anger and frustration and almost sabotaging yourself, I'm sure the person who beats you up the most is you, right? Why did I do that? You know, or this time I'm going to not do it, and then you do it, right? And that's why we get angry with ourselves. I want you to think about the concept of letting go. Almost close your eyes and picture this really, really heavy weight, this heavy block that you're holding on to. That's gaming. That's alcohol. That's drugs. That's all the negatives. And I want you to let it go. Release it. Drop it. Throw it. It's an imagery thing I want you to think about. And when you throw it, when you release it, when you let it go, there's going to be relief. There's going to be a freeing feeling that's going to overcome your body. And it's that feeling that you want to have all the time. So when you do that transference thing I'm telling you about, replacing the negative habit with a happy habit, that same feeling will come. Can you do that?
Yeah, I think I can.
Perfect. You know what? I know you're going to do it. I know you will, because you're so courageous and awesome for calling in and asking that question. I have no doubt that you will get there and you will live full out. So thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you. Thank you for the advice. Thank you.
You got it. And I want to thank all our callers who called in today, because it's all about not settling in life, going after what you want. And just like with that last caller, let go of those negative habits. Let go of that pain, that stress in your life. The entire Living Full Out team is committed each week to supporting you. Again, if you want to check us out, go to your app stores. We're on iPhones, Android, Alexa, you name it, or go to the Living Full Out show each week to get inspired. I believe in you. Here's to you living full out. See you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Here's to you, living full out.